misconception is that the lawyer is the first person you call when the bad thing has happened. A lot of people don't think about, like, I mean, even just building an incident response plan, right? Maybe let's kind of move into another question here, right? You're looking into incident response plans with your potential customers. And there's some pretty fundamental questions, right? When do I call in breach counsel? When do I call in external communications and PR? When do I call in incident response and forensics? When do I talk to the media? When do I communicate to my customers? What do I communicate to them? If you're not including that type of analysis in your incident response plan, you're not really completing the full spirit of an IRP. So talk to us about, give us for example, like, I'm not going to call you when I find malware on a workstation. I'm going to call you when I think there's been inappropriate access of data.
So,
right? So what are those triggers for you? Like, how do you walk them through those considerations when they're building the IRP?
Yeah. So the best part about the IRP is, one, I would never have just a security person do it alone. I would never have a lawyer do it alone either. I truly believe you need both sides, because what you just said is right. You're not going to escalate it to me if somebody, I don't know, it's a small issue, right? Where, it was contained, maybe it was a phishing email, but you didn't click on it, right? Just because you get a phishing email does not mean you need to escalate it to me. Well, you need to escalate to bring in a breach coach is you get a ransom note. The phishing email was clicked on, and somebody's been sitting in the system or the email inbox for, I don't know, 3 weeks. Wire fraud. If you're in highly regulated industries, if you got, anything financial, anything medical, I always say bring in breach coaches immediately. Those are escalation points. That's very much more technical too, because that's where I need a security and technical and the MSP to really help me in these. And I think MSPs are in a much better position to understand those escalating points.
Well, can I real quick? What if you're an MSP? Maybe you're not where you need to be with your security posture. You realize something's wrong, but maybe you don't feel like you have all the technical resources and knowledge to be sure. So you think there's an incident, but you don't know enough about it yet.
I would say, especially from the MSP side, you all are going to be judged at a higher standard than others. Play it cautious, honestly, because it's almost like I get held to higher standards as a lawyer when it comes to compliance aspects. As for you all, I would escalate. I'm a more conservative person. Let's go with that, especially with MSPs. Escalate it quicker than a non-MSP because of the impact it could potentially have downstream. But really get those things defined and understand them and practice them, because you're right. It doesn't have to be everything.
You're both hitting on something really important, which should be included in your IRPs as well. What do I do when I've gone a certain amount of time and don't have an answer? Those things which would normally cause you to be like, all right, well, I haven't figured out this thing yet, which would be my normal escalation trigger. These periods of time where you're not finding out key information, those should be triggers to escalate as well, right? If you're going 24 hours and you still don't know anything new than you knew yesterday, you're probably past the point where you should have escalated to get additional help. And so, again, a breach counsel will walk you through that. If you're dealing with EPHI, there's very specific time periods when you have to make notifications and who you have to make them to. And so you're going to back into a lot of this just through that understanding. And so, to me, that's a lot of the left of boom stuff. You don't really have an IRP plan that's actually going to minimize damage to your company if you're not baking in those types of considerations for you and your customers, which is why I said earlier in the chat, a good breach counsel not only seeks to understand you and your business as an MSP, but also that of your customers. Because a good breach counsel is going to understand and help drive your breach response to those standards of care and notifications and all those requirements that you have based off of the customers you serve and the data that you're a custodian of in providing them a service.